everyone, welcome to the semi-finals and congratulations to everyone making it this far. My name is Ariel.
Roshan, Ozil, Rebutting,
and we are your judges for today. So, without further ado, I call upon the Prime Minister.
Angle it, I guess.
Mesut Ozil has become a very controversial person recently. Even if he probably doesn't deserve the hate from people, quitting the national team will worsen it for him. Okay. Opening government will prove to you guys why it damages his reputation and it will jeopardize his career as a player in the club. Number one, the first argument will be it will damage his reputation. You see, Ozil was seen taking picture with Erdogan. You see, Erdogan is seen as a controversial president, or some people refer him as a dictator in Turkey. And everyone thinks that he support and approve Erdogan because he quit. And what happens if he quit? If he quit, his reputation cannot be changed because they don't consider him as a German player anymore. Not just a German player, but they don't consider him as a German anymore because when he quit, shows that he support Erdogan's stand. And number two, his legacy won't be the great German player who won FIFA World Cup 2014. And even though recently he lost, the German team lost in the World Cup 2018, even though he is not the only person to be blamed, but he is targeted by the public and media for the loss. And I'm going to tell you why he shouldn't quit. If he quit, he can't recover his image because he can't play more matches with Germany. Like for example, Euro 2020, since he already quit. No, sit down. Number two, if you play more and win more matches, people will forget about him with Erdogan or him taking pictures or associating with Erdogan. For example, Lukaku. If he didn't score a goal for Belgium in the FIFA World Cup 2018, Belgian supporters will call him, oh, he's an African player. But if he scored in the FIFA 2018, they will say, oh, you're a Belgian player. You're the best Belgian player. This shows that how selfish the fans are, and in order to save his reputation. No. Second argument, Ozil may be seen as the face of anti-racism, but this doesn't work in this scenario because everyone says he can be because since everyone says he can be the face of anti-racism, doesn't work because he took picture with Erdogan. Because people are so concerned. Why he so concerned when he took picture with a dictator? Yes. Before.
What is the moral obligation for this football player to fight the good fight if it comes at the expense of his safety?
Can you ask?
What is the moral obligation for him to fight the good fight if it comes at the expense of his safety and branding and reputation?
So basically, you're trying to say, why is it important for him? I do not understand the question. I'm really sorry. Okay. Again, because he took pictures with President Erdogan, it's not, they don't hate him because he is an immigrant, because Erdogan is a dictator, in this case, who is controversial, who has break laws in Turkey, where he break human, what you call that, like the one where you care about humans. Yeah. Okay. Because of this, he can't represent and help the anti-racism movement. And the movement will be controversial if you have someone like Mesut Ozil who took picture with Erdogan, who is a dictator. And it will be controversial and it will affect the anti-racism movement. And he can't be a good face for the anti-racism movement because there is no point of quitting. And third argument, Ozil is still a club player, right? He still plays for Arsenal. And the thing is, he retired from playing for Germany, but he still plays for Arsenal. Germans will hate him and boo on him, not only because he's the guy who took a picture with President Erdogan, but because he also gave up on Germany because he quit. So people will say, oh, he gave up on Germany. He gave up playing for Germany, means he has no interest for Germany anymore. And people will keep on saying, oh, he don't have any interest for Germany. Therefore, he is now, we can call him a pro-Turkish German or something like that. And also, if he does this, his credibility and his popularity will be gone, and it is bad for Mesut Ozil. And not only he received negative views from taking pictures with Erdogan, but also quitting the German team. Yes.
Ozil already retired from the German team, right? Ozil already retired from the German team. That doesn't mean his popularity has reduced. His Instagram followers have actually increased more, one, but secondly, he's still a first team player for Arsenal.
Yes, he has a lot of Instagram players. But if he has a lot of Instagram, for example, followers, right? But the thing is, all of them are not German. Obviously, there will be Germans who will be following Mesut Ozil. And since it's the Germans who are giving hate on Mesut Ozil, this German Turkish player, then I don't think using Instagram followers help much because, okay, Trump, he has a lot of Instagram followers, right? Then the thing is, he always screws up and stuff, right? Instagram followers does not help because what can your followers do? What? Just talking in the media. This is about him, to stand for himself so that he wants to let everyone know what his views are. For that, I rest my case for today.
And then the Prime Minister, I call upon the leader of the opposition.
Panel, I think a very important mischaracterization coming from said government is the fail to realize that Özil has actually resigned from international footballing and is no longer a player of German football team. That means all the harm that tried to brought up from their side should already have existed to begin with, given that if that's their characterization as a whole. But I'm going to prove to you in my speech why those harm doesn't exist and have no likelihood of existing. But mostly and second part, it is an active debate. I would believe in the best interest of Özil, since he no longer feels accepted in the German footballing team and he is no longer interested to be within that society to begin with. It is in his best interest to leave the German football team. And only one argument I'm bringing towards that, firstly, is, and it's why in principle there exists no obligation and necessity for Özil to remain in the German football team. But before that, a couple of rebuttals. So 3 arguments against for side opening government. Firstly, it damages image. You have, i.e., that means he loses lots of support or fan base. Do not believe that's true. Believe advent of his resigning and he coming out to the public actually sympathized with Ozil and kind of sympathize with him and actually relate to how he or she feels. Because you have to understand, Ozil has a reputation of being a very good player, not exceptional, just not only in footballing terms, but also a very charitable footballer as well. Very charitable to minorities and displaced individuals within society and different countries. Right? That means already he has a large fan base, not because of his popularity as being a player, but because of humanitarian charity does. They never put to us how likely is it for him to lose fan base. The best they say is, hey, he loses certain German fans. We believe, okay, even that's true. We believe we still have a large fan base. I mean, for God's sake, I'm still a fucking Ozil fan, right? And I literally nicknamed my best friend Ozil. Do not believe why that is true. But secondly, you have to understand. Secondly, they say he can't play in the next World Cup. We think Ozil is already 29 or 30 to begin with. He has participated in 2 or 3 World Cups, and he has actually won a World Cup. There isn't anything left for him in the World Cup to begin with. He has already achieved the maximum achievable goal at the end of the day. Even if he doesn't win the World Cup, we believe it's justified. But also, he's already old and his ability is limited. Second argument from side OG, he needs to stay to prove his nationalism to the German citizens or German nation. You have to understand, Ozil is a citizen of 2 countries, German and Turkish. And literally, when he came out to the public, he literally said he meeting with Erdogan is a courtesy for him. He meeting with the president of his mother's nation is actually a privilege and opportunity for him. It's something he was very important. We believe, regardless of whatever on whatsoever platform, no one should be denied this ability and to do so. But thirdly and lastly is how he is not able to find anti-racism movement. We do not believe this is Ozil's obligation to begin with this and after debate, and we always have to debate in what's in the best interest of Ozil. Now, coming to my argument, why it was no obligation. Given that Ozil has faced a large amount of criticism from German football team and German fans, also faced racist comments both by the supporters, by the organizations, and by the Football Federation, based on his race and religion, that means he no longer has any incentive to want to remain in this structure, in this operating structure that do not accept him and see him as different. Ozil clearly states, when we win, I'm a German footballer. When we lose, I'm a Turkish Muslim. Do not believe you're subjected to this form of discrimination. It's justified in status quo, and you being existing in those kinds of oppressive structure should be legitimate. We do not believe there's any incentive to do so. But secondly, you have to understand Ozil has a reputation to protect. Ozil is literally a 5-time German best player. He has achieved the best achievement he could get. He has won the Champions League 2 times with Real Madrid, won the World Cup with Germany. That means that his reputation has been his reputation of being an exceptional player is at stake here. The point at which he remained within those structures and the German team and German association are always criticizing his ability to perform is the point at which his records and past and legacy is being tarnished, and Ozil no longer exists in the books of record. I think if anything, Ozil will always remain a legend, and that's why all Madrid fans are always Arsenal fans. Secondly, you have to understand. No, I'll take you later. Already in the status quo, there exists a fallout between Ozil with the German coach, but not just the German coach, but the Germany Football Association president. This means that you have to understand, for you to be able to be productive in the kind of things you do, you have to establish a good working relationship with those you work with, not just with your peer groups as footballers, but also with those at the hierarchy table or hierarchy of power, right? That means that this already disagreement between these individuals gives us an incentive for a productive working relationship. But secondly, that means usually, given this problem, he will mostly and usually get dropped out of the starting lineup, get out of the starting lineup and subjected to the bench at the end of the day. But thirdly and lastly, you have to understand, Ozil is not just a German player; he's an Arsenal player, which is one of the biggest clubs in the whole world, and he needs to keep playing to maintain his reputation as a very top-class player. The point at which he gets a very high media attention because of his scandals with Germany or Turkey is the point at which it affects his performance. Because you have to understand, for a player to be able to perform effectively, you need not just to be physically fit, but you need to be psychologically fit as well. The point at which you receive a high amount of media attention because of your scandal is the point at which there's a limitation to the kind of ability or performance Ozil could give to Arsenal. Given that Arsenal is in the point of change, getting a new coach, and Özil is an integral part of the Arsenal team, and this is where it gets larger amount of fan base to begin with. If you're a German player, your supporters are all German. If you're an Arsenal player, you get supporters from all over the world. We think the best interest of Ozil is to remain, is to resign from the German team before 6. I'll take this on.
So if it is true that these scandals will affect his psychological state, right? How would quitting actually give him an ability to actually put this aside when people constantly use this as an ammunition against him?
We think it already gave him the ability to put it aside, i.e., he no longer wants to associate himself with this form of scandal. He literally came out that he would not apologize for being a Muslim, neither would he apologize for being a Turkish. So the idea of you being a German and being a Turkish is not a subject of matter to Ozil. Ozil's identity is his right at the end of the day. And Ozil no longer wants to associate himself with this form of scandal. This means Ozil do not have a principal obligation at the end of the day. But you have to understand, Ozil is a nice guy. I love him so much, I'm sorry. Ozil is a nice guy. He does a lot of donations, charitable homes, the minorities, displaced, refugees. Ozil's position in society as being this form of nice guy will always give incentive, not just for footballing fans, but fans across the world to always support him. Umar will prove to you in an argument how we're able to get practical change and a meaningful discussion at the end of the day. For anything, we're extremely proud that Ozil left the debate. No.
I thank the speaker for his speech and call upon the
I hope me not knowing as much about Ozil factors into the decision as to who wins this debate here. But I think it's something important to recognize is that, firstly, what matters the most to a person who has represented their country when it comes to international football, or a footballer in general, is pretty much the legacy that they leave behind. Because what everyone wants is to be the person that is always talked about. That's what the case when it comes to Brazil, where people still remember the likes of Cafu, Rivaldo, because these are the people who stood by their country, and even if they didn't necessarily win the World Cup, even if they necessarily failed after winning a previous World Cup, they're still there because they were Brazilians who fought to the end. The second thing that it's important for us to recognize is that for a large portion of people, they hold you playing for their country above everything because they think that you are representing our country. You're taking our football dreams and playing it in the eyes of the world. I cannot play football, but you are representing me. Bearing these characterizations in mind, I don't think it's as easy as opening opposition just saying Ozil can just leave because everyone will still support him. Recognize, ladies and gentlemen, that people have seen Ozil by their side, but at the point in which certain scandals come into play, Ozil not being able to defend himself or not saying anything with regards to the scandals and just leaving is not necessarily the best move to be done by Mesut Ozil. Let's do a couple of rebuttals. So I'm going to talk about two things, right? Firstly, no thank you. I want to talk about the reputation and legacy that Ozil leaves behind, given that this is an active debate. Secondly, I'm going to talk to you about how does it affect Ozil as a footballer in general, because he's still playing for Arsenal. Let's first talk about the reputation of Ozil. So the first thing that they said is that, so Ozil has won the 2014 World Cup, he has won all these German best players. So the problem with this particular bit of idea is that more often than not, football fans have short-term memory. When they see all these scandals, they won't be like, hey, no, how can he support Erdogan? He won the 2011 World Cup at this auditorium and things like that. People immediately associate him with this scandal. So even if you say that Ozil already have all of these things, at the point in which he quits because of a certain scandal, that's the be-all end-all metric as to what Ozil's reputation and legacy falls down to. People won't remember the great goals or assists that he did. People won't remember the fact that he pretty much led the German team to win the 2014 World Cup. This is why the example of Lukaku we gave was actually important. Because fans are really selfish like this, we understand that it's very regrettable, but it's because of the fact that it's that way, Ozil should not quit. Because Ozil should use the selfishness of the fans to make sure that he is able to win back the fans' adoration for him. Because if he doesn't quit, chances of him entering the World Cup again or entering the Euro squad again is pretty high. They said that, oh, Ozil not playing World Cup is not a big thing because he already played a lot. No, it's not about him just playing World Cup because he wants to win stuff, but him being able to play World Cup to prove to the fans, to prove to everyone that he's still willing to fight for Germany when it comes to the football in the world, ladies and gentlemen. When he's able to score, that's when people will then think about him scoring and winning Euro 2020 as opposed to all of these scandals and him deciding to quit, ladies, or him deciding to not stay or stick by the German identity. Because fans have short-term memory and because fans tend to focus on what's happening right now, I think Ozil should use this as an incentive to make sure he's able to win back the trust and win back the adoration that fans have, ladies and gentlemen. The very case study of Lukaku shows that maybe it's regrettable that fans are this way, but perhaps we should use this to make sure that his legacy doesn't get broken down. The last thing that we would say with regards to all this thing is that the only response we get with regards to this is that it's good because when he quits, he's not associating himself with the German identity anymore. Number one, that is true, but number two, that also means he's not associating or talking or discussing about the scandal in and of itself because people consider him just running away. That's the point in which Ozil is not able to defend himself or defend the position that he is in, right? Because it's obvious to all of us that probably he's not supporting or co-opting all the human rights abuses that Erdogan has made. But for the large majority of people, they don't know this and they deserve and they need to know this if they want to like Ozil. At the point in which Ozil quits, that's when he loses the ability to properly defend himself because people will always use the leverage of him quitting over that. People will be like, why are you, you don't deserve to talk. You're the guy who betrayed your country. You're the guy who left your country. You're the guy who don't care about the German identity. Go home, you Turkish player. That's a problem with this identity. At the point in which you do that, that's when you lose the ability to properly defend yourself and say why exactly you took that goddamn picture with Erdogan to begin with. What's the critical nuance of him having to defend himself? That's the best way. He gets to salvage his legacy and tell people, and this is the contingency just in case he doesn't score in the next World Cup and he plays even worse, or for that matter, right? So I think this is the best way for Ozil to properly remain relevant and remain and protect his legacy. Before that,
yes. To your eyes, first, if fans have short-term memory, how did you remember the Cafu you mentioned? But secondly, so he needs to perform for Germany to show his nationalistic. Why should he be apologetic for being Turkish to begin with?
Okay, so firstly, the Cafu thing, because that's the last thing he did. He won the World Cup. That's why they remember him. No scandal. Number two, I don't get the apologetic POI, right? I think we understand that Ozil has no principal obligation to fight for the anti-racism movement. But at the point in which he's tied as the person who is the controversial face of the anti-racism movement, that's the point in which him quitting doesn't help, especially when people constantly tie him to the scandal. At the very least, if he doesn't quit, he's still able to defend himself. He's still able to show that I'm not going to let this scandal come in between the way of me and my country, and I'm still going to represent them. Secondly, his performance in clubs. Azim told you that when they play in these clubs, when he plays as a fan of Arsenal, people are still going to be feeling that, look at this guy. He's the guy that betrayed our country, not because he doesn't like to play football anymore, not because he's old, but just because he doesn't like our country. We know that's not true, but that's what they want to think. And that's bad enough. Because that's when people are more likely to hate him. And all the psychological duress and stress that opening opposition talked about becomes far worse. Because people don't only use the scandal to hate on him, people are also going to use the fact that you quit to hate on him. So now, there are two reasons why fans hate you. They're more likely to boo you. They're more likely to be angry at the fact that you're still playing, but you're not addressing the problem. You're not addressing the scandal. You left your country. Ladies and gentlemen, Ozil is a great player. Ozil has done a lot of things. I'm a German fan as well. But at the point, and I'm pretty much pissed off that he left because Germany can't win anymore. But we think for the sake of Ozil's reputation, he should stay. He should not have quit. He made it worse.
Speak of the In
And saying that you're a Muslim, saying that you're not ashamed of being Turkish is being proud of your community. They would rather live in a world where he stays in this football club that continues to oppress him, where brands disassociate from him, and when he continuously gets hurt by the media of Germany. In our world, we wouldn't let that happen to this statement. What will I be doing in my speech? Firstly, my argument extension will be about the discourse and the perception of the general public towards Ozil and how you make it worse if he continues to stay in the club. But one more important thing to note. A lot of the material coming from opening government is a contingency. Assuming that you win the next football game, that means that you can redeem yourself to the general public. It's unfortunate because he already won the World Cup, but people still perceive him the same way. And the harm of this is that at this point of time where he already associated himself with Erdogan, that means that his image is already to a point where it's political. And a lot of the German individuals who view this media will continuously think of him as political. That is harmful in the instance of moving forward with that German club in the first place. Because a lot of individuals and fans telling him to move back to Turkey is not something that one should deal with at that point in time. It's a form of character assassination. But we think that the smart thing that he did in this debate was the fact that he garnered a lot of sympathy from the international community. The fact that at that point in time where he left, and this was a false claim from Kiru saying that he didn't do anything at the point in which he left. After that, he came to a press conference which issued 3 statements. The fact that he said that right now we want to expose what happened to the German, in the German club that made me feel extremely isolated. That garnered a lot of sympathy. A lot of followers on his Instagram continued to sympathize with the situation. The fact that the German club was being more racist and xenophobic in nature. And people relate to that because of the viscerality that it attracts. And when a fan base grows larger and galvanizes support for this particular individual, that makes the precedents larger in telling you that you should not settle in a club that continues to oppress you, because that makes you complicit within other players that want to participate in the German club and will know that they will still face the same harm. So what is the problem with the discourse and the perception of the German public? Because of these statements issued, oftentimes people perceived him, even though he came to meet Erdogan as a form of courtesy in terms of before that particular game, a lot of individuals of Germany called him out for saying that he was betraying the country. They say that in our world it becomes a lot worse, but in actual fact, you continue to stay and representing Germany at the point in time where they don't want you to represent them, despite the fact that you are a contributing member of that particular institute. That makes it a lot worse for you to continuously stay and be a part of that oppressive narrative. Given the perceived nation of him is political, I think that it's perfectly fine for him to want to self-identify as a Turkish, because if you stay in their world, your acceptance is conditional. That means that the German Football Association will constantly hijack that narrative at the point in time where you lose that you are Turkish and not a German person. They think it's really easy to counter that particular narrative when you're in the club. But this is what happens when you are in the club. You are a representative of your club. The things that you say can damage the reputation of the club, the brands and association of that particular club. The fact that you had to safeguard the image and reputation, and even the stuff that he said to Erdogan while he was still in the club was particularly censored, right? Because he didn't want to be in that situation where he was instantly in a position of discrimination. That means that the discourse that happens in your world is an inability for you to criticize that German club, where you can't act in self-defense, because self-defense in their world means betrayal, and leaving the club means taking an active stance against people saying that you are betraying, because now you don't have to care about the reputation of the club. You can expose the atrocities that they committed towards you and the structural problems within the systems of the club. The incentive increases at the point in time where there is lack of harm of the media to attack you because of the lack of visibility of you as the representative of that club. You can still represent Arsenal, no problem. You still played yesterday. But the ability for you to present in that club particularly is harmful. Where does he already lose out in government's world? I'll take you at 6. The thing that he lost out in government's world is the ability to already have deals with the German people, or the fact that in their world, he's more likely to be a scapegoat to the team if they don't perform. And the German audience that will always blame him will blame him as an individual instead of a collective. I think that if Ozil were to lead this particular movement or lead this particular club, it's a lot easier for him to call out individuals within that club. The ability for you to say that his image is tarnished only at the point in time when he continues to be in the Germany club, because he continues to be complicit within these things and hiding the atrocities that happen towards him. At the point at which he left, and I stated this before, it made it easier for him to actively criticize against him. If you think that you have to stay in order to fight the good fight, I think that in principle, a lot of individuals should have the autonomy to make that choice. Forcing him to be in a position of discrimination is a Hobson's choice, and constantly pushing him to not betray your country, despite the fact that even you discussing about these structures is a form of betrayal, is harmful for this individual. Before 6, yes.
Ozil is of Turkish-German heritage. When he walks out on German national team, which is of Germany, wouldn't the association of him with Turkey and Erdogan become worse, amplifying the hatred that he's getting?
But the thing is that people don't view Ozil as someone who is betraying the country. Like, the international community does not view him that way. The only people who view him that way are the German people. And insofar as he can detach himself from that German identity at this current moment, I think that is better for this actor. Because insofar as he continues to be there, the psychological damage that he has before every match, or the fact that he has to listen to the German media reporting and telling him that if you don't win this match, that means you're not a part of Germany, that is more harmful in terms of the damage that you inflict upon his career. Because if they wanted to protect his career, I think that you also need to protect his psychological state and the ability for him to be visible in that field. I think that if his visibility now does not come at the expense of his safety, or does not come at the expense of his psychological health, it is a lot better in our world, right? I think that it's also a lot more effective in calling out individuals and structures within the movement that makes it easier for Ozil to prosper. If you want him to be a better football player, and if you want the ability for him to continuously be happy, and for people to remember him for who he is, he should detach himself from the most oppressive football club I've ever heard.
And then yellow, I call upon the
I think he was heavily I think that the part of this football player being a Muslim and having a Muslim identity was one large chunk of the debate that OO missed out. Because I think that's extremely important because Özil has a Muslim identity and is often attached to this Muslim identity, that he has an extreme moral obligation to protect this identity and to do whatever it takes to have a better fight for the Muslim movement within Turkey, or even for Islamophobia movements within Turkey. I think that if you realize OO's arguments were mainly about how he doesn't have a moral obligation towards this fight, he should protect himself and his career as a football player. He also needs to protect himself because he will get a lot of hate within Germany. I think this is untrue. Why? Because if you realize the people who are extreme, like anti Özil, or those who hate upon him, are a very right-wing populists within Germany itself. In Germany, you also have individuals who are liberals or just sports fans who love Özil, or who actually look up to him. You also have a large community who's of young individuals who look up to Özil as a sports player. It is unfair for you to tell you just because some people within Turkey, while your right-wing populists hate them, then everyone in Germany hates them. Because even if he stays, I'll tell you, he'll get even more support from all your liberals or all your millennials within Turkey. This is extremely important for his mental health. Because I don't see why, if you're staying in the club and even if you get hate, it's counted by the support you get or the sympathy you get. But the second thing Umar tells you is that if you're within the club, then you won't criticize the club. I disagree, because here's why the German club will never kick him out. The German club cares about Germany itself cares about its reputation. They can never kick him out because he will just be seen as extremely anti-Islamophobic. So he will be within the club, and he has that safety within the club. They never kicked him out. So given that he will be in the club, I think he can still issue statements to tell them how bad these people are, or like just issue media statements to tell them that this club is actively oppressing him. But first argument, why you staying is a better fight. If you leave, I think you legitimize all the hate and legitimize all the oppression that the club gives you. Because realize there's also a lot of Muslim individuals who are trying to migrate into Turkey, who are trying to fight Islamophobia within Turkey. The point at which you leave, you say, yeah, sure, my Muslim identity is more important. You forego trying to integrate within the German community itself, or you forego trying to fight for these individuals. If you stay, you're seen as an icon for all these individuals because you fought a good fight and you're still within the Turkish team. And here's why he has an extremely good chance to redeem himself. I think you touched on it, but given that he's an extremely good player, I think that he will be able to win a lot of matches within these things. If he's going to take the discrimination but still win these matches, I think he's an icon for all individuals. As someone who has actively talked out about all this discrimination but still play the game. But if you realize all your right-wing individuals within Turkey who you want to convince that, who you want to neutralize, or who you want to make them believe that your Muslims are also, your immigrants or your Turkish immigrants are also good and also can play your game, because there's a lot of stereotypes towards these individuals. That's what the emotion says. I mean, that's what the info slide says, right? All your right-wing populists say that he's not a good football player, or his abilities are not good enough. That's why we lost. The point at which he leaves means he legitimizes that. Yeah, sure, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm old. Maybe I should leave. The point at which he stays, I think he has a better chance at redeeming himself, and being an icon for every single individual within these communities.
Don't you think that if you set a precedence where you leave a club at the point in which it is xenophobic towards you, you set a precedence for fans to not tolerate that kind of behavior in football clubs?
Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of Muslims or immigrants do. The point at which their boss harasses them, they just leave. They are ready to fight. They are ready to issue statements saying that this is how bad it is. The point at which they always just leave means that that's why they get lesser opportunities in status quo. The point at which you stay and call out all this discrimination but say that you are not taking the compromise means you're just better off. But secondly, here's media attention and why it's extremely important. Right now, on their side, the media attention is short term. The point in which he leaves means, yeah, sure, there's some media attention. People say he left, things like this. But I think that the point at which you stay and you're within the game, the German media plays the game, and you're always within the club, means that it's more media coverage for you to talk about anti-discrimination policies, talk about things because you're within the German club, and this media has more incentive to play you out, right? I mean, to show task because you're a member of the club. This is when you have more incentive or more ability to talk about policies, talk about the hate within the club itself. But right now, on their side, the media attention is short term. So for now, we have debates about this individual. Some people will talk about this individual, but as we move on, they'll forget, and they'll forget the problem with him. I think this can be compared to Malaysia's Numan Afifi, for example. The point at which he resigned his job and left because he was xenophobic. Because he was pro-gay individuals. Like, there was some media attention for some time, but then people just forgot about it. The point at which he stayed, the point at which he has media attention on him, whenever he does a job that's good, means there's just more media attention at that point of time, and individuals are able to now see that even though this individual is there, is good. But last thing, why you have the point at which you have more media attention means your ability to fight for it. And the reason, and more importantly, the reason why he would want to do this, or he has a moral, or he should want to do this, I don't think he has a moral obligation. But when Umar talks about it, I think if you realize, if he's someone who loves his country, loves his identity, then him fighting this fight also makes sense, because he wants to protect the identity of this Muslim individuals or these immigrants. But this comes at a point that's extremely important. The point in which Germany is at a point of not accepting immigrants, because realize that Germany is at a split, and Angela Merkel is pro-immigration, and but your other individuals are populist. The point at which he leaves the club means that individuals are less likely to talk about it. I mean, individuals are less likely to resonate with him, or you just anger a lot of German individuals because he left the club and left their identity. The point at which he stays, he just gets continuous media attention, and individuals like Angela Merkel or pro-liberals can support him more, and this is extremely important. But the last thing, when the point at which they talk about supporters, I don't think it's mutually exclusive. Even if he stays, and even if he releases those statements, he will still get sympathy. It's far better that he stays because you show set precedent that you will take it and you will fight back. Thank you.
Next speaker for the speech and call upon
So I think opening houses came up and talked to you how Mesut Ozil has no obligation, or how he would actually affect Mesut Ozil as a person, as a character, and his reputation and the German society. So site closing decides to talk about his influence on immigrant-born Germans, for example, all these people fighting for Islam, all these sort of things. So we would like to catch with that. So first things first, on the idea of why Mesut Ozil leaving the German national team is so important. He is the face of an immigrant-born German, which is the minority. First things first, the treatment of Mesut Ozil, saying that he's a Turkish when he's bad and a German when he's good, is a common practice of German individuals to anyone who's immigrant-born. This is not exclusive to Mesut Ozil. What this means is they keep saying that it's more likely for people to call out when it's easier for him to call out on these malpractices while he's in the German team. What this means is when he leaves the team, it means that he's done with all these malpractices that happen. It means he's done with having all these sort of things. He's already spoken about this multiple times, but there has been this sense same exact treatment when they don't perform well enough. They're Africans, but when they perform and they actually win the World Cup, now they're French. This is the sentiment that they're proposing that they never really address at the end of the day. Sure, we understand side opposition, opening opposition, sure, how there's no moral obligation for him to stay in the team. On our side, even if he decides to leave the team, how it actually benefits you at the end of the day. So, show opening.
Yeah, so we agree that these practices are bad when you profile people based on the victory or failure. But people already do this. Given this, why should he damage his legacy trying to fight something that he doesn't have an obligation to?
So, side opening government saying about saving his reputation or about how he was an actually great player before this. But we have like all of the arguments that have been going on and on and on about only it's contingent upon that him winning or him actually performing at the end of the day. What happens when he doesn't perform? So first things first is that when he stays in the team, what this means is he's going to be more criticized for every single action that he does. If he does something, for example, speak about certain issues that people don't agree with, probably defending Turkish culture, that's somewhat controversial, people are going to criticize him for it, regardless, because he's representing the German national team. That's the thing. It doesn't really matter what he does. It's not just exclusive to his performance in football, but his words, his action. He prays, for example, him doing the sujood during when he scores a goal. These sort of things, influences, these sort of things, are going to be criticized by the German public, regardless of what he does. So these things, by him staying in the team, not only that, if he doesn't perform in the team, the idea that he's already not performing well is only going to be amplified. People are saying he's holding the team back, in a sense. So, an idea on how the site closing government said that people won't kick him because this German association has the fear of being called an Islamophobe or xenophobe. So why is this so important? When he actually leaves, it means that he himself is calling them out for being xenophobe, calling out these things that which means that they no longer have to say that we are not racist, we are actually being nice to him, because he has had enough. It means he no longer has ties with them and actually has no duty to actually fight for this German nationality. Rather, his German identity is still intact, to call them out for all these other things. What it means is he's still a German citizen, but not a German player. It means he doesn't represent the whole German team, but he represents his identity, which is an immigrant born German. It means he's also out of German roots, but also his Turkish root still stands. This is what he's trying to propose. I am still a Turkish person. I'm fighting for all these Turkish things, but I'm also a German at heart. This is why even though he quits the team, he's still showing how he's how he's actually going to continue to support the German team. Maybe not in form of like playing the game, but actually supporting the German team once they're in the World Cup and all these sort of things. Maybe meeting his old playing with his old friends, but not representing the German team itself. It means that he's calling out all these he still has all the benefits of being a German citizen without actually representing all the harms that comes with the responsibility or the duty of representing the German national team, for sure.
Oftentimes, hate and xenophobia is legitimized by individuals not fighting back. The point of view should just leave and say, oh fine, you hated me, I'm leaving, means that you won't actively fight back. Why is it fighting back?
So the thing is, what's the point of fighting back? Once you keep fighting, the people are still going to call you out for it. On our side, we're saying if we quit now, sure, they're going to criticize. Let's just think that they're best case scenario that people are forgetful. So we stop the discrimination now as it is. So sure, there's going to be some part of criticism for a short amount of time. But the fact that he's staying in this national team means there's more time for them to criticize until he actually leaves. And what does that mean? When he leaves on a bad note, meaning he already lost multiple World Cups after winning his first World Cup, it sends a bad image not only to him for what he's doing for the actual team. So this means long term of this form of criticism, but only even after he leaves, which is, if he's fired or whatever, would still go on. So what have I told you today? So how we actually deviate from side opening is how his importance of this dual cultural group. It means he's also Turkish and he's German. How he represents the immigrant-born German citizens, which means how there's a much bigger hurdle for immigrant-born children in this nation to actually be recognized as German citizens. Just because they look different, they have other cultures that they practice. Maybe they don't only celebrate Christmas, maybe like Eid or this sort of thing. They want to get accepted how it's already difficult as it is, and how he actually represents his image. Once he quits the national team, it means he's done with it. It means he represents these people that we have no tolerance for this kind of attitude, but we are still German at heart. We'll still fight for the German, but we're not tolerating this behavior. Once you solve this, we might come back and actually represent your country.
Thank the speaker for the speech from government.
There's a lot of things in today's debate. I don't understand why Mesut Ozil can't be a Turkish-German football player, like how Paul Pogba is an African-French player, or N'Golo Kante is the same, or people like Lukaku is a Congolese, I don't know how to call people from Congo, but the Congolese, like a Belgian player. I don't understand why this can't be happening to Mesut Ozil. I think the fact that OG says that, people will forget is kind of true. But we'll prove to you why that's true, and we already did by Maya's speech. She tells you that people will forget and move on to better things. This means people used to fight on Lukaku being a Belgian player and also a Congolese player. But that's the things that happen, that evolves from it. Now people don't even humiliate Lukaku. Like maybe they just call him black and things like, but then like that's just things that we can't defend, but at least we get to harm minimize it in the world of closing government. I think there was a lot of things that opening opposition tried to bring to you in this debate. So firstly, they tell you that you already won the World Cup and there's nothing else you can do. So I don't really buy this. Because firstly, people like Ronaldo has won so many Champions Leagues in Real Madrid, still go to clubs like Juventus and still wants to win more Champions Leagues. It means they want to end their career strong. They want to end their career with the most amount of achievements that they can. I think it's unfair for you to disallow Mesut Ozil for having that chance. Next thing that they tell you is that the reputation of Mesut Ozil becomes worse under the side of government. Like, I don't think this happens under the side of government. Because liberal German fans will also hate Mesut Ozil. Yeah. If he leaves, people who are fans, like football fans, don't actually care that he took a picture with Erdogan. But the people outside of football who do criticize him for doing these type of things are now brought into into sports. And I don't think it's fair for you to mix up this politics into the sports. And also they tell us how Arsenal's already a good enough reputation for these individuals. I don't think so. Because firstly, Arsenal isn't that big of a team, yeah. But then, like, it's okay. But then, I think German, if it has the German, people and the German national team to play on, it's far easier for him to achieve like the Euro 2020 or things like this. I think it's not fair for you to just say that he's old, so he can't play in that World Cup or can't play in the Euro. Because then how will you still allow him to play for Arsenal? So that analysis of him being old and not being played Euro doesn't stand. I think that's a real big thing that it doesn't make sense. Also, another thing that hurts in Mesut Ozil on the pitch is the people who are German, who are Arsenal fans from Germany. You see, the fact that Elo comes up and tell you that there are Arsenal fans all around the world, this means also Germany. People who support Arsenal in Germany will never ever support Mesut Ozil. The fact that in the World Cup 2018, when he gets the ball all the time in the few starting games, people just shout out boo and just hate Mesut Ozil because he did this type of things. These are the types of things that Germany fans will do because they don't like him, even though he's a really good player and things like this. But before I continue, sure.
Yeah, what incentive do German fans then have to then accept Ozil by given you described they hate him so much, not to even support him?
Okay, so the comparative is right. You don't have any form of that in your world. Once they go out, Germany will just literally just think that you betrayed our country, you went out of the country, you don't support us. Compared to our, maybe some people will still hate you because they're super conservatives and those type of people that will still hate you because of the things you do. But moving on my issues, which is firstly, which side has the better reputation for Mesut Ozil? In our world, people don't. But I mean, like in our world, even when you don't quit, people still care about you. Maya tells you that the German national team will never kick Mesut Ozil out because he's such a key player and important player in the German team. No, thank you. She already tells you that the only reason why Mesut Ozil went out is because he wanted to. I think when OO and CO wants to talk about the security of Mesut Ozil and him being safe, that also happens in our world. The German national team will always take care of Mesut Ozil as if he's just like their god or something because he's such a good player. This is where it's really important because they actually care about Mesut Ozil. They won't let him go easily. What are the impacts of this particular person quitting onto other players? For example, if Lukaku will ever get threatened again or being a Congolese player, people calling him out and doing things like this, he's always going to just say, oh my god, I think I should just do this. Because you also see that Mesut Ozil, once he got threatened, he just left the German national team. This legitimizes all the times when people just say, oh, I'm getting discriminated, I can't bear with this pain, I'm just going to go up. This means every time someone calls you black or something and you really can't bring up yourself to fight back or to at least complain about certain things, you can't do that in the world of opposition because you're always going to think about Mesut Ozil leaving the German national team when he couldn't handle it anymore. No, thank you. The second issue, on which side will individuals be happier for for Mesut Ozil? Maya tells you that the media attention will always talk about Mesut Ozil. They'll cast the spotlight on Mesut Ozil for a short time. I think there's a lot of things that happen in this process. People will always talk about Mesut Ozil leaving the national team. People will always be some form of angry towards Mesut Ozil that he left because German fans may now realize that they need other players who are as good as Mesut Ozil, which probably cannot be replaced by. This means that the German fans are going to be more angry and more upset to boo him even louder, to hate him even more, to openly have a reason to boo him on pitches like when he plays with Arsenal. This means all your discourse and discussion that happens in your world is negative towards Mesut Ozil, and this doesn't benefit Mesut Ozil in any form of way. What's the comparative in our world? In our world, if he stays, they show you like things like he's actually going through all this pain, but he's still fighting for his country. Means he really loves his country and he's doing all these things for his country. This is where Mesut Ozil portrayed as a better person in society and a better German person as of all. My third issue: will the life of Mesut Ozil be ever better? So in their world, they legitimize all the hate that was pointed out. They legitimize them calling Mesut Ozil legitimizes people calling him Turkish and people calling him Muslim, even though he's German. If you discriminate, I think it'll make him feel even more worse. When he leaves the German football team and people see him on Arsenal pitches or like anywhere in the world, that's where there's gonna get so much of hate from these people. Last time when people see Mesut Ozil, they want to take pictures. Now you have different type of mindset. Like people booing Mesut Ozil when they see him, people throwing water bottles at him, and things like this will come to a point where Mesut Ozil can't take it anymore and like might as well just retire from the whole thing because he can't do anything. But in our world, where you actually step up for the fight and fight back against this bigoted individual who discriminate you, that's where you set an icon level of perception where other people will follow you in the future. I think in a world where Mesut Ozil gets all these benefits, as well as Germany and the fans of below, I think Mesut Ozil will lead a far better life and a far happier one under the side of closing government.
I thank the government. Finally, I call
We tell you that on our side, it is far better for Mesut Ozil, however you pronounce his name, all right, to take a harder stand on the issue rather than take a lighter stance and go with, because at this point, right, we know that Germany has a lot of issues, right, a lot of issues with immigrants, how they really like champion right-wing politics, and how like I think no one in this debate really like talked about the situation in Germany to begin with, right? About how this is a prevalent issue and how it needs to be some sort of act needs to come in place, right? So we tell you that yes, we have to champion these rights, and how it is in that sense also going to be beneficial for Mesut Ozil, because this is in fact an active debate, right? So first of all, let's just deal with a few responses, right? So there are a few like major clashes in the debate, right? So first of all, there was this whole idea of legacy, right? About how if he quits the national team, then immediately like people will like dismiss him, and how like whatever he's done in the past is not legitimate anymore, right? We tell you that this is wrong, right? Because as my first speaker has already told you, right, the moment that he actually is in the team, right, what happens then is that because there's so much spotlight on him currently, right, people are paying more attention to him when he plays, right, there's going to be instances where he's going to be attacked or like heavily criticized because of certain things or certain acts that he might do that are not sometimes even beyond his control, right? Or even when he underperforms, the whole idea of him like being Turkish and the whole scandal will come back into light. So they're saying that, you know, that people will eventually forget is not legitimate in our side, right? Because every time he plays, people are going to bring it up. Every time he messes up, every little thing that he does, people are going to bring up the fact that once upon a time, or like a few years ago, he actually took a picture with President Erdogan, right? So this is never going to be an issue that's going to be solved, because in the end of the day, people are going to constantly be reminded, and this scandal is going to constantly be put into the light. No, thank you, I'll take you later. Right? So that's why we tell you that it is far more detrimental to him, because now he has to live with that pressure of having to always perform, because not only does he have to like be in the team, because he knows that now there's a lower bar, right? Like now people can easily like fire him or like make him leave the team because of these reasons, right? So he has an extra undue pressure on him because of that, right? Because now not only does he have to represent the Turkish communities, now he also has to like do well, right? Do like really, really well. And that we tell you that it's detrimental to his like psyche to begin with, because now whenever he plays, he's gonna know that all those German conservatives watching him and just waiting for him to fail so that they can bash him in the end of the day, right? So we tell you that this is very, very detrimental. And then moving on to my next idea about how whenever he plays, right, people are like incentivized to like talk about him, and now he can use the German team as an avenue, as a platform to champion for this rights. Right? We tell you that this is not the case, right? And I think my first speakers already proved to you that this is not the case, because when the moment that he's already been delegitimized in the first place, people already tell you that look, he has done some questionable things in the past. Nobody is going to listen to you. So in the end of the day, whatever platform that you have in terms of this German team is not going to be useful. Closing.
If you realize that media attention and Özil wanting media attention, so he can talk about these issues because he loves his community, there's more sustainable media attention on our side because in the game. On your side, it's far shorter. So why is it still better?
We tell you that people are not going to listen to him regardless, right? Because you already delegitimize him. You already paint an image in the eyes of the people that he has done, questionable things in the past, right? You don't allow him. He has not spoken about why he's taking pictures with Erdogan, right? So we tell you that it's not people are not actually going to listen to what he has to say in the end of the day. And we tell you that this short span of sensationalization is much better on our side, right? Because in the end of the day, at least if it's sensationalized, right, at least we create some form of discourse, right? At least the international communities can come together and have this sort of discussions about whether whether it's all right or start talking about issues that have been prevalent in Germany for a long time, right? No, sit down, I'm done, right? So then later we tell you that this is much better on our side, right? That's why we prefer a world. We prefer if he were to actually distance himself from the club, because we feel that although at the same time, by championing this sort of rights, right, it also these are sort of things that are personal to him, right? Championing this sort of Islamophobic sentiments, right? It is going to be helpful to him and helpful to his people in the end of the day, right? And this is something that is important, because in current status quo, this is practically non-existent, and a lot of people are dying. And Mesut Ozil is a nice guy in the end of the day, and he would want to protect his people at the end of the day, right? No, thank you. I'm done with rebuttals. All right. So that's why it's important, right, for him to champion this sort of sentiments to begin with, right? And also, even if he does leave the team, right, regardless, there's still a platform for him to clear the air and still champion. I don't see why being on the German team immediately creates a platform, right? Because he's still a celebrated player, he's still established, he still has a voice, he's still someone who's done a lot of great things and a lot of good things, right? So we tell you that in that sense, there's no exclusive benefit on your side, right? All right, sure.
So sure, on your side, they may be an incentive. But I think that incentive is more the one which is part of Germany. German media has to show you, and he has more ability to talk about this.
All right. So you talk about German media, right? The thing is, right, a lot of things can happen, right? Because you're telling me that just being in the team is going to allow him access to the German media. It doesn't mean that there's a lot of things like censorship and things that they can prevent you from talking about these issues, right? So it's not it doesn't mean that you have to be shackled to the German team in order to bring your views out, right? There is still multiple platforms, and the fact that he plays for Arsenal and plays for a lot of, and he goes around the world and does tours and stuff, that the fact that he can still champion those sort of ideals, right? So we tell you that it's much better on our side, because number one, it's less detrimental to him, because at least he'll be protected from the sort of microaggressions or the sort of discrimination that he might face, or the form of undue pressure that he might face every time he goes onto the field and plays, right? And we also tell you that this prevents him from being attacked by the people at the end of the day, right? So with that, we have to oppose.